Let's execute an immediate, high-gear tactical vector shift away from commercial genetic registries and suburban Churnet trackers, and plunge directly into the cold, calculation-heavy tracking grids of deep-state espionage bureaucracies, Cold War institutional cover-ups, and the deeply cynical world of modern British counterintelligence. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored committee hearing rooms, decaying archive bunkers, and lethal historical tradecraft parameters of Berlin and London with The Secret Hours, the exceptional standalone procedural masterpiece by the absolute undisputed sovereign of modern espionage fiction and satirical statecraft, Mick Herron. This high-stakes operational deployment delivers a thrilling look at an operational crossroad where an ongoing parliamentary witch hunt, a long-buried Stasi-era operation, and an absolute defense of sovereign institutional secrets collide at terminal velocity. Let's lay out the strategic narrative grid. If you are a fan of high-octane, slow-burn political thrillers where a collection of brilliant, cynical, and deeply discarded intelligence assets must navigate an absolute maze of internal security service civil wars, historic double-agent betrayals, and ruthless bureaucratic cleanup operations while running a blind survival loop inside a compromised intelligence ecosystem, where an analytical mind uses deep administrative tracking, institutional lifestyle profiling, and absolute psychological stamina to outmaneuver the highest echelons of government authority, and where the author utilizes an incandescent disgraced spies unearthing a lethal historical scandal diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural survival parameters. This book is engineered to lock you in. Herron completely dominates the bureaucratic spy war dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating institutional paranoia, and heavy psychological depth popularized by genrevarks like John le Carré, Len Deighton, Alan First, and Charles Cumming, while treating high-level clandestine logistics, institutional records management, and protective tradecraft grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the Monopoly investigation, a masterfully calculated blueprint of an independent parliamentary inquiry operating under a severe calculation-heavy handicap, formed by an ambitious prime minister to aggressively dismantle the untouchable, secretive perimeters of Regent's Park, the MI5 apparatus. The committee's daily workspace is an intricate matrix of dusty, low-lit basement archive terminals, heavily monitored secure storage zones, and tense hearing panels. Their collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a layer of absolute official procedures, their entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring agency threat vectors, parsing complex Cold War file networks, and shielding their vulnerable investigative trail from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless deep-state counteroffensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches their active scanning perimeter. A low-level, seemingly insignificant file from a disastrous deep-cover operation in reunified Berlin during the early 1990s is leaked to the committee. The official diagnostic metrics of Regent's Park flash white-hot as the explosive, long-hidden files reveal a toxic historical secret that threatens to permanently decapitate the current leadership of British intelligence. An active tracking sequence engages. The standard boundaries of official government overstraight crumble, and our protagonist duo, a pair of mid-level civil servants trapped within the inquiry, run completely out of standard diplomatic escape vectors. They are thrust directly into an active invisible war, where field enforcement teams, highly trained internal cleanup squads, and calculation-heavy administrative blockades launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress the data stream. The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the rainy streets of modern London and the gray alleys of post-war Berlin into a volatile psychological pressure cooker. Our veteran survivalist researchers are forced to deploy their massive intuitive tradecraft, environmental mapping skills, and raw document tracing stamina to maintain their perimeters before the agency catches up to their location. When deceptive security chiefs, corrupt political fixers, and calculation-heavy counter-surveillance algorithms launch aggressive plays to delete the witness trail, their survival instincts engage their final deployment tracks. Every midnight street tale, every silent choice to smuggle a highly classified microfile behind standard security screens, and every intense moment of channeling deep espionage tradecraft chips away at their reliance on original defensive rules. What follows is an exceptional, high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the clandestine empire's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as Herron reveals that the true victory requires more than just making a public disclosure or completing a routine civil service report. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of historical truth and individual survival against a cold, calculating deep state machine. while our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force. A brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes bureaucratic trials shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that historical emotional hazards have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending lock-grid trap and permanently secure their independence, our resilient heroes must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of their final boundary lines. It is an espionage suspense, deep state action thriller, political corruption drama, and high-velocity bureaucratic noir masterpiece that treats deep geopolitical logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one unmarked file triggers a fatal black-budget cleanup energy, where a sudden pause in a secure archive reading room, an unexpected shift in an official's protective physical posture during an active interrogation, or a heavy, possessive realization that your own government has completely mapped your personal vulnerabilities carries massive structural weight. Herron writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the cold, metallic hum of secure document shredders, the oppressive, heavy atmosphere of a rain-slick London morning, and the distinct, subtle scent of wet tarmac, stale office tea, old paper, tobacco smoke, gun oil, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this standalone espionage novel into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance realistic intelligence agency mechanics and genuine high-stakes historical tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep conceptual hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and intelligence underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking personal breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total hard-earned advancement to their horizon. The Secret Hours is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes spy fiction and dark intelligence suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating domestic intelligence monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your bureaucratic survival training, and fight like hell alongside your network to rewrite the data. So, secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the spies.